Hi there, my name's Nell Hardy and I'm the writer and performer of NoMad. So 8 years ago, things started going very, very wrong for me while I was partway through my actor training at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. In practically no time at all, I found myself sofa surfing with practically nothing to live on, whilst trying to recover physically and psychologically from an attempt on my life, meanwhile being ignored left, right and centre by all of the appropriate support services. Eventually, I was admitted into a mental health inpatient unit that was totally inappropriate for my condition, and I ended up having to stay there for 19 months purely because there was nowhere else to put me. And it was in the thick of that time that I made a promise to myself that when I was back on my feet again, I was going to make a show, a one-woman show, that was going to raise awareness of just how easily people can fall into crisis. But more than that, to inspire hope that if we all keep connected to our common humanity with everybody we meet, we can really reduce the long-term trauma experienced by people who fall into desperate situations just with simple kindness. So at the end of my time there, I started my career as an actor, writer, theatre director and facilitator from the inside of an emergency hostel room. So as you can imagine, it was another 4 years until in 2019 I finally felt strong enough to put pen to paper, and that's when NoMad was born. So since then, my slowly growing team and I have worked tirelessly to get NoMad seen by audiences of regular theatre goers, but also for the harder to reach audiences of people whose lives have been affected by homelessness, mental health trauma, gaslighting, psychiatric streamlining, and all sorts of other forms of systemic exclusion. Now, the pandemic's been pretty hard on us. Our first rehearsed reading was meant to happen in April 2020, and of course that was cancelled. And then our Arts Council funded first live R&D showing was meant to be at the end of November 2020. That had to revert to a live stream, which then ended up being jeopardised by technical issues on the night, which were apparently caused because too many people were trying to watch it, which has to be a good thing. But nevertheless, we were only able to get very glitchy footage from that showing, which we then made available for free online for a week. And from that, amazingly, we got over 300 viewings, we got 2 4-star reviews, and we got a truly humbling number of social media responses from people saying that the show had made them think completely differently about homelessness and about mental health, and even from people with similar lived experiences saying that they'd never felt so seen and heard by theatre before. We even got a lot of interest from theatres from that showing, which of course had such a backlog of shows that had to be cancelled over the pandemic that they weren't able to consider programming us anytime soon. So in the meantime, I've been keeping busy developing an outreach programme for the show, and I've been really lucky to be able to work with NHS professionals as well as the support of amazing charities like the Museum of Homelessness and Tricky Period, and some absolutely stonking freelance creatives to develop 2 separate sets of workshops. The first one is going to be for people with lived experience of homelessness and mental health trauma, and that's going to be looking at artistic exploration as a route to self-discovery, self-expression and self-love. And the other workshop is going to be working with social and mental health service providers, looking at active empathy as core to good practice when working to limit the long-term trauma experienced by people who have experienced systemic exclusion and extreme social need. But we've just had incredible news. The Arcola Theatre has asked us to finish our creative development of the show and take a couple of performances of it to their Today I'm Wiser festival at the beginning of October. The opportunity to perform at a prestigious London venue like the Arcola is really going to put us on the map of programmers and create future outreach opportunities, as well, of course, as being a personal dream come true for me. But we need your help to make it happen. I and my team of freelancers need to be paid for the time it's going to take us to rehearse and put on the show, and we need at least £7,000 to make that happen. If we can get £8,000, We can also engage a wellness coordinator to work with us to keep us safe whilst working with such personal material, especially myself who continues to live with complex trauma. And we can also get on board an access coordinator who can work with us to make sure that disability doesn't limit people's opportunities to see the show. If you're really feeling generous beyond that, any money that we make above £8,000 will go directly into making sure that people with lived experience of systemic exclusion who normally couldn't afford to go to the theatre get really cheap tickets to see the show and get to come to workshops for free. Your money will also go into supporting the longevity of my work by proving to the Arts Council that the public really values and wants the work that I do. This is just the beginning of my mission to use theatre to represent and support the people whose lives have been derailed by trauma. I so hope that you'll be able to help me on my way, and also that you'll spread the word about this crowdfunding campaign to anybody you know who might be interested in supporting me as I try to combat systemic exclusion and long-term trauma through creativity, compassion, awareness, and hope. Thank you so much for watching.